Good morning, Jade. Good morning, Leah. Today we have lesson 8 in our language arts. Today we're learning about similes. But before we get into that, we're going to start with our reviewing section. So grab your pencil and eraser and maybe a piece of scrap paper. I have 2 sentences up here on the board. And for the first one, I want us to, or actually for all of them, for both sentences, I want us to put parentheses around each prepositional phrase and then underline each verb twice and each subject once. And then after we've done that, I want us to go through and label if we have any direct objects, all right? So go ahead and write these sentences down and then put parentheses around each prepositional phrase, underline each verb twice, and each subject once. And after you do that, label each direct object, all right? So go ahead and do that. All right, I'm just gonna go over these sentences up here on the board. Our subject, we should have had 1 underline, right? Because remember we went through, the first thing we did was went through and put prepositional or parentheses around our prepositional phrases. So of my friends would have been a prepositional phrase, and with me would have been a prepositional phrase because with and of would both be our prepositions. And then the second thing we were supposed to do is go through and underline each verb twice. So will come and spend, these would be our 2 verbs. And then for the last thing we were supposed to do was label our direct object, all right? So remember, we get our action verb and we ask what or whom. So we'll come and spend what or whom? We'll spend the night. So we would know night would be our direct object because it receives our action from our action verb. For the next one, Aaron, Caleb, and Andrew should have been our subjects, and split and stacked would be our action verbs, what they're doing. And remember, we ask what or whom with our action verb to figure out our direct object. What did they split and what did they stack? The wood. So the wood would be our direct object. And there is no prepositional phrases in that one, all right? Good job, girls. Let's go ahead and let's get into our new part, all right? Similes is something you guys are familiar with. This is something we covered a lot in our reading books. So let's go ahead and read our definition for what simile is, all right? A simile is a figure of speech that compares 2 unlike things by using the words like or as, all right? You guys are familiar with this. Let's read our first paragraph. It says, poetry uses figures of speech to help the reader imagine what the poet is writing. A figure of speech or figurative language often uses comparison or contrast between things that are not normally paired. We may compare a tiger to a lion, but that is not a figure of speech. If we compare a brave boy to a lion, that is figurative language. All right, a simile is a figure of speech. It uses like or as to form comparisons. All right, I know you guys know all that, so I'm not going to go over that again, but what I want to go over in today's lesson is what it said in the first paragraph. It says, we may compare a tiger to a lion. All right, a simile compares 2 unlike things, all right? A tiger and a lion are pretty similar, so that wouldn't be figurative language. Just like the first sentence I have up here on the board, it says, Davy looks like his father, right? We're comparing 2 things to each other, but they're very alike. Davy and his father are 2 things that are alike, right? It uses the word like, but that wouldn't be figurative language. What about this sentence? Davy looks like a mirror image of his father. Here we're comparing Davy to a mirror image of his father, right? So a mirror image would be a little bit different than Davy, right? An image you see in the mirror and Davy are a little bit different. So we will have to use figurative language when we're comparing or when we're using a simile. We're going to compare unlike things and use that to make a comparison, all right? So for numbers 1 through 5, you guys are going to write simile for each sentence that is a simile and mark an X for each sentence that does not contain a simile, all right? So remember, what I want to really go over in this lesson is that a simile compares two unlike things, all right? If they're similar, then it's not figurative language, all right? So that is your new part for today, and you guys have a very short lesson today, all right? Hope you guys have a good day. See ya.